Find anything? I know who you are. You're Lee Everett. You're a professor at Athens who killed a state senator who was sleeping with your wife.
Oh, Carly, she puts together the pieces of Lee's puzzle so quickly. This might be one of the most amazing guest characters in any narrative game I've ever played. Oh, look, she's gonna use her reporter background to get the radio working. Just another tool in her comprehensive skill set.
What are you messing around with there?
A radio. I can't get it to work, though.
There are no batteries in this thing.
What now?
Really? You couldn't figure this out? That's the first thing people would probably think of when they see a radio doesn't just turn on. Oh, well, let's go and find these batteries, I guess.
Here's another one.
Should be able to get it to work now.
There. Now I'll just bum around a bit and see what she comes up with.
It's still not working?
Yeah, I can't figure it out.
What is she possibly struggling with now? Oh my God!
You fixed it.
I thought the choices in this game were supposed to be tough.
How did you choose? I mean, we both needed you. You picked me.
That's a good question. You know, I think it all stems back to when I first met Carly, and we were having a discussion about batteries. And upon me offering to help her, she said,
Thanks. I wouldn't even really know what to look for.
Good to see you, gamers. You know what we both know? Nothing is perfect. Not even Telltale's landmark gaming accomplishment, The Walking Dead, which garnered over 80 Game of the Year awards. Find out what other dead weight this game is carrying as we investigate all the misses in The Walking Dead.
Okay, aim a little bit more to the left. Okay, a little higher.
To start off, we'll examine just how ridiculous some of the set pieces are, featuring some protagonist actions and intelligence levels that are incomprehensible, even in the reality-stretched world of The Walking Dead. In Long Road Ahead, upon meeting Omid and Krista and cutting off the tanker, Kenny starts the train again to escape, with Lee and Omid still up on the overpass. Their only chance is to jump to the freighter car, and after Omid does this, or gets pushed if you're an especially cruel prick.
Have it your way.
I will! You son of a...
He bounces off of the roof and tumbles to the ground. And you're thinking, well, the episode has to end with another death. That's pretty dumb that Lee ended up being the one to cause it to such a friendly person. But then, you look out of the freighter car door and Omid's stumbling along with one leg keeping up to the train. A diesel-electric locomotive. How fast could you run while dragging one leg behind you as a result of some catastrophic injury? Yeah, that's not happening. Come on, this thing's gotta be going at least 20 miles an hour right now. How is this possible? The funniest part is if you help him first, he loses his mind, yelling at Lee that he should have saved Krista, who's in peak physical condition.
She's a woman, don't you know? Baby.
Nothing about this makes any sense. Look at this. He's like Sonic the Hedgehog, sprinting past his girlfriend on one leg. Jesus Murphy, that's hilariously dumb. Just prior to this, Lee is trying to get a map to get the layout of Savannah for when the train arrives. It's right there. This should be the simplest thing in the world. But because Kenny, who's drowning in sorrow and remorse over the death of his son, is planted firmly in the seat, Lee can't do it. He's helpless. And these responses when you try. Good Lord.
Are there any maps up here?
I don't know.
Mind if I get by you for a second, Kenny?
Can you just leave me alone?
You mind if I look in there for a second?
I really wish you'd just leave me alone.
You can attempt 3 different times, but still fail to get Kenny to move. Couldn't Lee just stretch a little bit and get them? No. Instead, you need to find a homeless guy whose only possession, of course, is whiskey, chat with him until he's cheery enough to recommend it to anyone else who needs a drink, and then finally you can get Kenny out of the way. And then observe how Lee acquires the map. He bends over gingerly, as if Kenny was still there and he was trying to get it without disturbing him.
The entire rationale is horrifyingly morbid. Let's go give this depressed man, who has recently lost almost all the will to live, who is in charge of driving the train, some hard liquor. Yeah, that'll be a really good idea. That map is definitely worth all this when we're in a fiery train wreck and blowing up.
How about this battery? Molly and Lee are ambushed by this alarm. Lee gets the battery out of the car, and Molly's like, put it in here, I'll carry it. I'm not too smart, but I do know that a battery, even a small one for a car, weighs at least 30 pounds. Simply leaping up to this skylight would be quite a feat. But no, then Molly, who weighs maybe 120 pounds, leans down, catches the 180-pound Lee with a 30-pound battery on her back, and heaves him up like a feather. Then she sprints and jumps 12 feet across a gap in a death-defying leap between buildings. It'd be pretty embarrassing if Lee couldn't make it himself unencumbered after witnessing this feat.
But, that's just small potatoes. It exaggerates the capabilities of humans a little too much, but it's not an indictment on the character design themselves. But balancing out these superhuman feats are brain-bustingly bad, bewildering blunders. Yep, you know what I'm talking about.
It's Carly's battery conundrum. We've got a woman, a radio that doesn't work, and a puzzle to solve. The first pathetic display is how Carly can't figure out why the radio doesn't turn on. She is completely baffled and never once thought to turn the thing over to see if it even had batteries in it. And even when you find this out, she's clueless about said batteries. Honestly, one of the lines of dialogue is,
I wouldn't even really know what to look for.
Are you goddamn kidding me? What else would you be looking for? Who goes through 20-some years of their life without any knowledge of batteries? They come in many different shapes and sizes and are used to power a variety of portable electronics.
Also, this game is set in the comic universe, and in the same time as when the outbreak started in the comics, which is in the early 2000s. So, Carly grew up in the 80s and 90s.
When batteries like these were far more common than they are now. There was absolutely no excuse for this. Then she goes,
Yeah, I can't figure it out.
Let me have a look at that thing.
Go ahead.
oh, fine. Maybe the unit is just fried then. We got her the batteries, so... What? Look! Look!
the positive and negative symbols are right there. It couldn't be more clearly marked.
How does she put them in backwards? It's amazing she didn't try any other combinations. What? How? How is someone this dumb?
That's the equivalent of pulling relentlessly on a door that says push and then just giving up on it. You know what the worst part of this is? The actress, the persona she cultivates, and the dialogue, they try their damnedest to give the player the impression that Carly is an adaptive and resourceful woman with a lot of street smarts. You hear her piece together Lee's story. She understands how keeping it private would probably be for the best. And you're like, damn, whew, this woman really knows her stuff. But this happens 10 minutes later, and it just treats her like she's an idiot.
I mean, just what the hell? No one is this stupid. And she's a reporter. She should be used to working with all kinds of recording equipment. Equipment that uses batteries when she takes it in the field.
I don't care if the developers were trying to make you choose Doug to save near the end, to give a reason not to choose the chick with the gun. They could have given her an actual, relatable character flaw, not hammer us with just this idiocy of how stupid she can be. It's such a crazy contrast. I mean, look at these clips run back to back.
And the last thing we need is drama out there. You've got this little girl to take care of, and look, don't make me wrong on this.
I don't plan to.
Good. Because if this lasts longer than a few days, and you're a detriment to the group, then we'd have a problem.
You know that there are no batteries in that thing.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah. No.
I can try to find some. Needs two.
Thanks. I wouldn't even really know what to look for.
Do those things jive at all? It's simply mind-blowing. Have you ever met someone this clueless in real life? Imagine if you interacted with an adult who didn't have a clue about such a simple, widely regarded concept. Oh, could you talk to them? Trust them? God forbid, have a relationship with them? Because if you can, you are a better person than me.
Oh, hey. What's up?
Oh, hey. What I'm trying to do is get this butter on this slice of bread. But I don't know how to do this. I mean, if I use my fingers, it's just gonna make a big mess. So I'm stumped. I don't know what to do.
You must have a butter knife in this house.
A butter knife? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know, I think I've heard of that before. But, hey, would you be able to help me look for one? I'd really be thankful.
Yeah. Sure, man. I'll help you look.
Thanks. Maybe in here? What is this? Some kind of ice box? What's in... Oh, this looks familiar. I think I dip this into that butter, and then by swirling the...
This is a butter knife. That is a spoon.
Oh, you found it! Oh, wow! Oh, thank you so much. I wouldn't have even known what to look for. Oh, thank you.
Right. Anyway, enjoy your bread.
Thanks. Okay. Like that? What's wrong with this?
What are you doing?
I just can't figure this out. I mean, I got the right item, but when I try and do this, it just won't spread the...
Give me the knife. Give me the knife.
Okay. I can... Oh my God. You spread it. You fixed the knife. You fixed it. Oh, thank you so much.
The final incomprehensible scene all revolves around Kenny's fate. As I stated previously, these are very powerful, dramatic scenes. And they both showcase that, deep down, past the short temper and apparent self-serving behavior, Kenny does deeply care about those who support him. And the clever camera work and lighting do a great job at showing how insurmountable his situation is, while never being clear about what exactly happens. Especially in this alleyway scene, just listen to Kenny's shouts and screams. They're subdued, but still racked with some distress, so you figure he may have gotten bit, but aren't sure.
But how could he not get bit?
Okay, I can maybe get on board with this scene. Yeah, he's trapped in this warehouse building or whatever with no real way to get out the top, and he is definitely surrounded. But he has a couple of bullets in this scene. In fact, you can hear him firing a couple off. And given that Kenny's on the top floor, it's possible, however unlikely, that there are other exits or stairways. Maybe he can work his way down to the lower levels with some serious luck and desperation. Survival is still a long shot, but it's not shown what options he has or where the exits are, so this one's a little bit believable.
Go! I'll be...
What do you think about the alternative sequence? Ben falls off the roof, gets impaled, screams like an idiot, and gets walkers down the alley on both sides converging upon him. Look at this situation here. First of all, he locked the only exit between himself and Lee, which is dumb. I don't know why he does that. There's nothing but brick walls along both sides of the alleyway. There's no ladders, no dumpsters to crawl into, windows to jump through, and no manholes to escape down to the sewer. The alleyway is about 6 feet wide, and there's clearly over a dozen walkers on either side of him. Oh yeah, he has no bullets.
Do you have any bullets left? This has only got one left in it.
Because he used the last one on Ben to put him out of his misery.
Kenny, please! God damn it!
Which actually is so fitting, because back in episode 3, Ben is like,
if they ever get a hold of me, and I know I'm not getting out of it, that's it, man. I'm just gonna punch my own ticket.
Which is a nice callback, but please, gamers, tell me, what miracle did Kenny pull out of his ass here? Don't forget, Kenny sucks at combat and defending himself. At least, that's how it's been portrayed. Watch him against Larry.
Knock this guy out.
Happily.
Jesus!
Oh, man.
Oh, One Punch Man right there, eh? Well, Larry's like a cement truck, so let's give him the benefit of the doubt here. How about Andy St. John?
Don't shut up!
Ooh, okay. How did that work out for you, Kenny? Yeah, that's it. Just run at that guy with a loaded rifle and traumatize your only child getting shot in the ribs. That's a great strategy. Watch him try and fight Lee.
Yeah, I do.
Any luck here? Wow.
Want to throw down again like back on the train? Because I fight better when I'm faced.
Uh-huh. Yeah, sure you do.
Oh, here's your chance, Kenny. Save Lee from Molly.
It's not even like he's agile and can parkour around the walls either. He's a 40-something, malnourished, heartbroken man who's also probably hungover from the bottle he drank last episode. How did he get out of this?
And why didn't he just mercy kill Ben, unlock the gate, and rejoin Lee? Walkers are dumb. They won't unlock it and chase them up to the roof they were just on. Just do what has to be done with Ben and continue. You said this 2 minutes ago.
You don't just end it because it's hard. You stick it out, and you help the folks you care about.
Oh, sorry. Please, just tell me how he got out of this. I need closure on it. It's bugged me for years, and I would love to hear your explanations.
Finally, as powerful as the finale is, there's some logic in the lead-up that begs explanation. Lee and Clem evacuating the Marsh house provides an effectively chilling atmosphere as they wade through the herd with guts all over them. But there's a few conveniences here that are ridiculous. First of all, why does this random, solitary walker simply show up right outside the door of the hotel room, as if it's a worker ringing for room service? I get that the stranger and Lee had just made a huge commotion and there was a gunshot and a fight and everything.
Die!
So then if that's what attracted it, why just this one? Where's the rest? Where's the other walkers that are likely in the adjoining rooms? And if it's one from outside, shouldn't a herd have followed it in? Secondly, Lee's fever renders him unconscious in the middle of the street with hundreds of walkers surrounding he and Clementine. The gut effect doesn't last long, and Clementine says afterwards,
"We're safe here. I locked us in. I thought I was helping by bringing you in here."
Really? She's an 8-year-old girl.
She's 8.
Wrong. She's 9.
Oh, damn, sorry, 9-year-old girl. Bending down and dragging Lee would undoubtedly give herself away. But nope, she's somehow dragged a nearly 200-pound muscled man into a jewelry store and then, on her own, shut this metal-grated door.
It was only a little open when I found it. I closed it to keep us safe.
So well, I might add, that the two of them together can't open it again. Yeah. I'm not buying this.
I'm glad it happened though, truly, because it gave Lee and Clementine some privacy to say their final goodbyes. I'm just saying that it really couldn't have happened.
Oh God, don't let them get to me!
Every fictional franchise has a character that many would consider tedious, annoying, or cowardly. You've got C-3PO in Star Wars, Kate Sith in Final Fantasy VII, and Navi from Ocarina of Time. But I'm here to tell you that Ben Paul from Telltale's The Walking Dead is 1,000,000 times worse than all of them put together. Ben sucks.
He's just the absolutely most dreadful, detrimental character that Lee's group was unfortunate enough to come across. He mopes.
Ben, if you could keep an eye on the girls and Duck, I'd appreciate it.
He whines.
How you doing, Ben?
I'm watching the girls and not working on a mega cool train. What do you think?
He's the ultimate coward.
Oh man, we are so screwed. Do you even have any idea how many of them are out there?
And then gets mad when Lee doesn't trust him with actual responsibility.
So you're just gonna leave me on the bench here?
No offense, Ben, but I'd feel safer if you stayed here.
How am I supposed to not take offense to that? What am I, a liability?
He doesn't have the smallest lick of common sense. Like here, when he first arrives at the motor inn, it erupts in an explosion of Kenny and Lily yelling at his group's inconvenience. It's Clementine who has to lead him away from the argument because she knows he won't be able to provide any constructive points to garner their trust.
Come over here and see what I drew.
Wait, what? No,
Just come on, okay?
You know, an 8-year-old needed to be the one to show Ben the proper course of action.
We later find out it was this teenage dirtbag who was slipping bandits supplies, and when Lee interrupts their latest shipment, that spells the end of the survivors' time at their fortified motel. And through all of this, check out how many times Ben denies any involvement.
Nobody was stealing anything! Nobody did anything! Look, just let me out. I didn't do it, but I don't like this.
Lee?
Just let me out of the car. I'll go. I didn't do it, but I'll go.
Ugh. It kinda calls back to the old police guy in the intro.
He was the worst one. He wouldn't stop going on about how he didn't do it. And he just wailing back there. Says it wasn't him. Crying and snotting all over like a fussy baby on an airplane. Screaming bloody murder that it wasn't him. I think he actually believed it himself.
He single-handedly tears the entire group apart. Right after they make their escape in the RV, the accusations continue, and he loses any and all credibility, which Lily rightfully points out.
What do I have to do for you to trust me? I'll do anything!
You're pathetic. Look at you. Do we need any more evidence than this?
No! No, we don't!
Please, let's just get back in
That's
the RV.
not happening.
Carly, bless her kind heart, tries to defend him and ends up getting killed because Lily just can't take it anymore.
But you're just a scared little girl. Take a page from Lee's book and try helping somebody for once.
Now, what the is the problem?
That was unnecessary.
If you saved Doug, Lily is even more sure that it's Ben, takes aim at him, but Doug sacrifices himself.
The problem? Ben! No!
A peaceful, gentle guy who actually provided tech skills and benefits like a working alarm system throws his life away to save this pathetic dweeb.
I'm not done.
That RV escape he caused creates more casualties. He indirectly gets Duck killed, which then leads to Katja killing herself out of grief, and then Kenny has to deal with all of this emotional trauma in the matter of 3 minutes, all because Ben was a thumb-sucking loser who wanted protection.
I just don't want to be on my own.
And then, hours later, he admits to Lee what it is he's done.
It was me. I was the one giving the bandits supplies.
What?
I don't blame Lee for saying this line right here.
I could kill you.
I...
Nobody can see us. I could toss you over right now and be done with it.
No! Lee, please!
Why shouldn't I?
I wouldn't do that myself, but I can't blame Lee for thinking it. His only job for most of the game is lookout. He never sees anything or gives any warning either. His train warning in Long Road Ahead only comes after he sees thousands of them on the horizon, when they're already less than half a mile away from the train. He's way up on top of the damn thing. How did he not see this sooner? Ben just gets worse the higher the stakes climb. The party gets ambushed upon their arrival in Savannah, and Clem and Ben are surrounded by walkers. Clementine desperately looks to him for help.
Oh, Ben, help her!
What do you think happens here? Yeah, even if you haven't played this, I bet you still know.
God damn it!
Yep. Did you expect anything else from this spineless prick?
He would rather save his own skinny ass than protect a second grader who has already done 432 more worthwhile things than he has in his life. And you know what comes of this?
No!
It forces Chuck, a pleasant, older, helpful, and selfless homeless man, to step up, impale this bastard with a shovel, and fight off a dozen or so walkers so that Clem can survive, and ultimately, he gets pinned down in the sewers, where Lee is unfortunate enough to find his disemboweled corpse.
You deserve better, old man.
Damn straight he did! Everyone in this game deserves better than this pencil neck pansy.
I got a bad feeling about this.
No. Shut up, Ben. No, you don't get to quote Star Wars. It's bad enough that you share the nickname that Luke had for Obi-Wan. This is the ultimate disgrace right here.
And he says this just before his most infuriating blunder. At the Crawford School, which is a community infested with walkers, he hits his lowest and dumbest point in his futile existence. There's a door Lee desperately blocks off using a hatchet to help seal off the herd as Kenny and Bree escape from getting their supplies. Minutes later, when the group finally seems to have overcome the worst and have everything they need for getting a boat prepared, guess what Ben does?
Whoa!
Jeez.
Ben.
You sent me out to look for something we can use to bust it open. I found this.
Ben? Where did you get that?
Yep, he removes the hatchet, and all of the walkers are given free rein to force Lee's group into a desperate escape, which is this armory door. A door that Ben had been assigned to an hour ago to get open.
See if you can use any of those tools we brought to get that armory door open. We might need to shoot our way out of here.
Just once, I'd like to do something useful, you know?
Which he also failed to do.
How you doing with that door?
Not so good.
Here, let me give you a hand.
I'm a nerd. I don't have that much common sense myself, but if I found myself in that scary situation and came across a normally open door that was barred haphazardly with a hatchet, I might think to myself, maybe there's a good reason that this hatchet is here.
Look at this! Even later, after wandering around, the walkers are still there, pressing against the door. Did Ben just wander around and pull the hatchet out, even with those things right there pressed against it? They do invade very quickly, so I'm guessing, yeah, that's what he did. What an asswipe! These monumental failures overshadow all of the other traits that already make Ben an insufferable wino. In Starved for Help, he basically does nothing. Ow. Even the nerdy guy, Doug, uses a laser pointer to distract the bad guy. What does Ben do? He squats and pisses himself in a cornfield.
Ben, stick close. And Lee, be careful.
Yeah, real helpful there, kid.
Does he have any redeemable qualities? I'm trying. I'm trying. Well, he did carry a box.
Got a box of food here.
I'll carry it.
Oh yeah, there we go. And set her down. Oh, yeah. Did you see that? Yeah, I'm kind of a big deal.
Carried a box that he stole from an innocent family, by the way. I mean, he just perpetuated the self-serving nature of the group that eventually led this psychotic man to sabotage them, which eventually led to Lee's death. But hey, we can't deny that he carried a box. He also, held up that hatchet for Lee to take as a weapon, which he then conveniently forgot that it belonged to them when he removed it from the door. But see, without Ben, Lee would have had to walk an extra 10 steps to the garage and get it himself. So Ben, he really comes through here. Why is Lee such a grouch in this moment? Look at the steps Ben saved him.
And finally, his magnum opus, Ben's ultimate saving grace, is found right here.
That light is blinking.
Push it.
Push it?
Why not? Here, look.
He pushes a button, which confirms that the train is operational. Lee, he was quivering in fear, scared that the train might, become a transformer that shot them all with machine guns and lasers. But Ben, that stud, he just shines through Lee's hesitation and pushes the damn thing himself. What a badass! Yeah.
Obviously, this sarcasm has fooled no one. What a deplorable sack of crap!
We're lucky there's no axe holding that door closed, huh?
Shut up.
Am I shocked that more people than not let him fall off of that balcony tower in episode 4 instead of pulling him to safety? No, but I am shocked that the difference isn't even higher. This has to be the absolute worst character that ever existed. He doesn't provide any benefit for anyone.
Telltale hit a home run with most of Season 1's cast. You can make plausible arguments for and against most of the supporting personalities, especially the Lily and Kenny power dynamic and differences. Even sub-characters, like Vernon and Bree, can be shown with a lot of nuance, empathy, and sympathy, depending on how Lee's interactions with them play out. But Ben? He's just awful. I was hoping they'd give him at least one redeeming quality, but I just don't have anything here. Ben's the most detrimental sub-character in any narrative game. Try and convince me otherwise. I'd be open to hearing about other examples, but none come to mind.
Matt.
I'm Sean Green.
Lee, this is Clementine.
This is probably the most minor of misses in The Walking Dead, but it does stand out as a surprisingly poorly thought out component that distracts from an otherwise expertly crafted narrative flow.
The initial episode introduces guest characters from the TV series, such as Herschel Green and Glenn, and they never really amount to anything other than cameo fan service. Examining Herschel first, it's neat to actually have an act play out right at his farm, and also lets players see Sean, a member of the family who is already disposed of in both the television and comic series. The game makes us think that there's going to be strict consequences and differences depending on Lee's choices, but this starts out miserably. Sean becomes endangered as Duck traps him under the tractor, and the game frames this as the first major choice you need to make. Do you save the more vulnerable kid who's in a less perilous position, or find a way to unpin Sean and save Herschel's family? The player just met both the Greens and Kenny's family, so it looks like this will veer Lee in favor of one or the other. But it handles this so poorly. If you choose to save Duck, the walkers break through, Sean dies, and Herschel drops some F-bombs telling you to never come back.
Get the out of here! Get out! And never come back.
Tragic, but it makes sense. However, if you try and save Sean, Kenny just casually jogs over, saves Duck anyway.
I got you.
Lee stumbles around useless, the walkers break through, Sean dies, again, and Herschel drops some F-bombs telling you to never come back. Again.
Get out and never come back.
This is the first big survival choice in the game. And damn, is it inconsequential?
It's a disservice to the much more impactful and emotional baggage that will follow Lee's future actions. So it's a shame that the game begins by inferring that nothing the player does is gonna matter anyway, especially when 5 minutes ago you and Sean talk about the outbreak, and Lee's opinion results in the game telling you Sean won't forget that.
Faster. Poor girl's brains in.
Whoa. I couldn't do that. I'm just glad we're getting this fence built.
Oh, Sean won't forget. He'll remember that your opinion differed for the whole 5 more minutes that he's alive. He's gonna remember that. Oh, be prepared for the consequences.
The only difference is that trying to save Sean results in him living for 10 extra seconds, telling Herschel that Lee tried to save him, and then he dies. Herschel gets less mad at Lee, but then still swears, drops the F-bombs, and tells everyone to screw off. And you never see Herschel again. So what's the point? Kenny, on the other hand, will be around all the way through Season 3. So if you don't help his kid, he holds you in contempt to start the game, and Lee has to really work hard to get back into Kenny's good graces afterwards. There's no benefit to saving Sean at all. What if the game took a wild detour, and if Herschel witnesses you trying to save Sean, He invites you to stay. Kenny and company just go their own way, while Lee and Clementine become farmhands and unite with a new cast of characters like Maggie, Otis, and Rick. Maybe Lee goes with Shane and Otis to get supplies to save Carl from the hunting accident. Okay, I know I'm getting too ambitious there, but man, it's not well done the way it's brought about here. Glenn, too, is feebly underutilized. You get the pizza delivery reference, which makes fans smile. But after that, it's just a small, isolated stealth combat puzzle sequence with Glenn, Lee, and Carly, wherein you dispatch a few walkers in order to save
Glenn's damsel in distress.
While the sequence is fine and showcases some fun puzzle solving, it has little to do with Glenn himself, and it also results in another character who offs herself regardless of whether or not you support the decision, again leading the player to think that everything's going to play out exactly the same anyway down the road. I will say that they got his personality down fairly well, including his optimism and shock at people giving up so soon.
That's not me. I'm not giving up. Not for anything.
Good, man. Good.
But once it's all done, he gets gas in his car, says he's leaving, and no matter if Lee says it's the wrong call or not, there he goes, off to Atlanta, never to be seen again. I love how the instructions on the title screen for the on-screen display tease the player into thinking Glenn's going to be a permanent member of the group or something. That's false advertising if I've ever seen it. The secondary characters in the first episode aren't much better. There's a guy named Chet who appears with Sean if Lee and Clementine search for help in the daylight. And this guy, whoa, he's super important to the story. He talks about Mama's cooking.
I ain't never getting home to Mama at this rate.
He pushes a car with Lee, and he escapes to the farm in the truck. Yeah. I'm so glad I was able to save him so that his unseen family was able to serve him that meal. Oh, the game even tells us what the meal is.
Oh, it's hot dish night.
Did you see that unbelievable character arc?
Oh man, that's a satisfying journey. Chet is the epitome of secondary characters. He's got his own name.
I'm Chet.
He knows Sean Green, the legend himself. Oh man. Oh, however, if you wait until dark, you'll find out that Chet has been killed and is now a walker.
No! Not Chet! Oh, why did I wait until nighttime? His 2 lines of dialogue are so impactful!
I'm Chet.
I'm sorry, Sean. Chet was a good dude. One of the best.
I can't go on.
If you do this latter choice, you're introduced to another character, Andre Mitchell, whose only shtick is that he wants to be addressed as officer.
This is Andre.
Officer Mitchell.
We're sorry about that. Well, Andre's sorry about that.
It's Officer Mitchell.
He picks Clem and Lee up, you drive to the farm in a police car instead of a pickup truck, and then he just drives off, never to be seen again.
Take care, you two.
Thankfully, the rest of the game does a much better job at making you consider your choices more carefully. Like this scene here, where Lee has to choose between taking Clementine to the violent Crawford area or leaving her alone at the house with an infected Omi that could kick the bucket at any time. Molly gets attacked by walkers just before the escape, and if you screw up your shot, she's sent scrambling and missing, and it's very unclear what happened to her. Whereas, if Clementine's with you, she'll take the walker out herself.
Thanks.
It wasn't me!
Good going, kid. Nice shot. Thanks.
Molly joins you and gives you more of a heartfelt and honest goodbye at the episode's conclusion. So Telltale definitely honed their craft, but not everything was laid out in a fashion that rewards your differing tastes and choices.
I am angered by this. It still pisses me off to this day.
Lee survived several initial encounters with walkers while hobbling on a busted leg, imprisonment by cannibals, a near execution at an electric fence, a shootout with bandits, jumping on top of a moving train, invading an elementary school, and falling through rickety staircases as walkers poured in.
And that epic moment, the inescapable death that Lee just couldn't overcome, is a random walker that's part of a trash heap. Really? It's just like a slap to Lee's face. Ugh. His death didn't occur because he fed his arm to a walker that was trying to latch its jaws onto Clementine. He didn't hold back an entire horde so that the entire rest of the group could get to safety and leap on a boat.
He just picks up the walkie and gets ambushed by an otherwise silent and non-moving lurker who decided at that moment to make a surprise attack. Want to know the worst part? There's 2 different ways you can make this play out. Most players on their first run-through are immediately enthralled by Clem's walkie-talkie, which they hastily pick up and receive the lethal bite.
That at least makes a bit of sense. But then, the game gives you a middle finger by suggesting, although it's completely bogus, that there is a way to avoid this.
You can choose instead to examine this suspicious crap first, securing the area. But that also makes a walker jump out and ambush you.
But none of that compares to just how stupid it is that the walker isn't attracted by the sound of that walkie.
It was loud enough to attract Lee to the location. And walkers have been shown in the Walking Dead universe to have very keen senses of hearing.
Quietly, noise attracts these things.
That static should have been very interesting to this trash walker. He's just been chilling out, letting ants crawl all over him in the piece of the shade. He wants some stimulation. In fact, it's already been used in this exact form in episode 1. You shatter the glass, and the TVs make some static noises, and the whole undead population of Macon is there to listen to them.
Now's the time.
The game doesn't even follow its own logic, and because of that, Lee has to die, and it's just wretched.
I'm not suggesting Lee shouldn't have died in the end. The game builds up through subtle foreshadowing moments that he is not long for this world.
And if something were to happen to you,
It won't.
if it were, you gotta prepare the girl.
But they could have come up with a much more heroic or dramatic end instead of this royal screw job. Worst moment in the entire game.
And you know what happens next? The developers feed you this nugget of false hope. Episode 4 ends on such an alarming note, with no chance left for Lee. You're at your wit's end, trying to find the sweetest little girl in the world, with only hours to go before Lee can't physically go on any longer. But there appears to be salvation in an extremely gory, disturbing, and desperate amputation option.
It's something that has been done in the Walking Dead TV show and in the comics, and it's something that's actually worked a few times. So now we're thinking, oh, the Telltale just wanted to scare us with that bite thing. Lee will live out his days as an amputee, and he and Clementine will bask in the sunlight as Kenny catches limitless fish as they sail along the Savannah riverside for all eternity.
Without Ben, because he's been kicked out, if he's still alive.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just still not over that yet. By the way, how many of you gamers had a big enough heart to keep him along, despite his idiocy? Did he just push you too far? Or do you truly believe there's still a place for everyone in this harsh, harsh world?
There's no clear indication whether this works or not. I can tell you from playthrough experience that upon severing the arm, Lee doesn't get dizzy spells nearly as often, and seems to hold up better than if you choose to leave it attached. It's really cool, actually, how much effort went into this. If you leave it on, for example, Lee blacks out simply on the climb up the ladder right outside the room. And again in the attic. Whereas if you cut it off, he stays conscious, giving you the impression that you really can change his fate.
Except you can't.
He becomes just as sick and as weak by the last part of the game than he would have had you left the arm on. And that made millions of gamers everywhere equally sad and angry. This is the last episode, and Lee is front and center here, so they really could have at least made the differences show up vividly. It's choices like these which were common in the first episode. Things that you think will have a big impact, but actually have nothing of value that sours the experience retrospectively. I mean, sure, if you're a hardcore fan, you'd line up the dots and realize that by the time Lee slowly lumbers across town, goes back into the sewers, and enters that shelter again, the infection is already way too far gone. But not everyone was a huge Walking Dead fan upon playing this. This was the entry point for many people to the franchise. They had no idea that it was already too late, so by offering them this gruesome option, especially given how high risk it is, you'd think you'd have gotten more of an at least altered pathway to Lee's fate. To tease the player into thinking a choice might be able to save the guy who has been so endearing and not have it really have any effect whatsoever, that's weak sauce right there. Alas, we always need to watch him lose his strength and leave us after months of struggle and hardship. Lee, rest in peace.
The people in our lives will always be what's most important. And The Walking Dead isn't a story about zombies or walkers. It's a story about people.
The lengths they will go to love one another, save each other, and be together, which is always elevated above the other, more petty and harshly callous nature of mankind that also manifests amidst every shocking death or betrayal.
Who? It was Vernon. They were waiting for us and jumped us.
Or absolutely idiotic blunder. There's also many moments of beauty. I encourage you to revisit this game and enjoy it. Bask in its amazing art direction. Take in those picturesque farmyard scenes with incredible framing of trees, leaves, and wide-angle shots. And then let yourself feel the sorrow when that malnourished Walker boy looks dead-eyed into the sun streaming through his attic mansion, never to see any other sights or sounds again. Feel the stress of close-up walkers inches away from devouring the most precious relationship in gaming, and let the tears flow when you know that Lee definitively has no time left.